things, as soon as Nigel came in through the door, changed dramatically. It has to be said, for the better. But
about time there's a bit of brightness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, you know, and for you personally, it became a record-breaking season. But can you just tell everybody a little bit about what Nigel brought to the table when he walked through the door?
Well, for me personally, I'd have got a point to prove. Hadn't performed, like I said, the second season didn't really kick on. The season we went down was a struggle. And then you're thinking, well, I've got to prove it to myself and to the fans.
Yeah.
So you go with an extra determination. Now, you know you've got players that are capable anyway. We've got Steve Howard, Matt Oakley, a blend of some younger players. So Nigel just seemed to get it straight away. Mm-hmm. He got the group together, knew what he wanted, sort of dependable, reliable players without being world beaters, but got that team and just knew what he stood for and just connected everyone. And then from minute one, you get off to a good start. You're already going to be one of the strongest teams in the league. I quite liked his approach in terms of you knew where you stood. Even if you weren't featuring, mm-hmm. you knew that as probably up until that point.
Quite straightforward.
Yeah.
Wasn't he?
But up until that point, no one really knew where they stood with all the changes and everything.
Yeah.
It was
nothing could be planned for.
Yeah, nothing. So it was a fresh start.
Yeah. Of course, he had Craig Shakespeare,
yeah, Shaky,
and Grandad Steve Walsh.
Yeah,
Senior.
Yeah. They just seemed to get it. Obviously.
How did you find the training at that time, Matt? Nigel's, where he had you in the gym just as much as he had you on the training pitch at times?
Yeah, with the fitness side of thing, with the pre-season, he had a set formula for
each player.
Fitness things in terms of where you'd be at, and he'd come back to those points. So
that's right up your street, mate. Isn't it?
I was fit back then.
Oh yeah.
So that he just knew it, and as much as sort of under pressure to go and perform, you never felt that way.
Right.
And everyone, once you came into the training ground and the stadium, you just got a small little group, but you knew what that group stood for.
And personally for yourself, you got off to an absolute flyer.
In terms of I got off to a good start, which I needed to. And then all of a sudden, confidence kicks in. It's weird, especially as centre forward. You need that. And when you get off to a good start, and then it just snowballs and carries on. If it'd gone the other way, you never know. But sort of turned it around for myself, particularly that season.
Well, you know, sorry, Joe, but as a striker,
yeah,
an out and out, you had more to your game. You know, you weren't reliant on solely scoring goals, but it was a massive part of your game, any centre forward. But I was just interested, like what you say about your confidence and the different stages. But behind that, you must have that constant belief that you are. Because of your record, you scored goals throughout as a kid, and then different stages of your career, different levels. You must develop that confidence to say that, or do you? Do you think? Do you know it's going to come back round at some stage?
No.
I
always felt doubt.
Really?
That was probably one of my biggest things, the mind.
Yeah.
And I always started to worry after about 6 or 7 games if I hadn't scored.
Yeah.
And then
even if it was at a level you know you've done before.
Yeah. Yeah, weird. That 6 to 7 point, I felt I was then desperate. I'd take any goal, and then you can start building again. But if you go more than 6 or 7, even though to everyone else, I'm sure they're not thinking about it, but to you...
Did you not remind yourself that 10 games ago...
Didn't matter.
Or 15 games ago, you got 8 on the trot.
Yeah, to that 6 or 7 point, you're looking, you're sort of hoping for anything.
Well, you didn't have to worry about that season, did you, Matt? Because, as I said, you got off to a flyer. I think it was 5-4. And this is where the first of the records come in. 20 goals by Christmas. Not in 42 years had a Leicester City player. Derek Dugan. Remember him, Matt?
I knew that one, son. I knew that.
20 goals before Christmas. So confident. And obviously that was being backed up by the results. Must have been really high by then.
It's about time I started scoring. But no, again, it's the flip of it. Instead of being worried about scoring, you're just thinking you'll get a chance at some point. Can you take it? And you know, it's sort of at League One, there will be chances. Steve was doing most of the work and I was just working off him. And it just flows you, and your confidence is... You're not even thinking if a chance will come. You know it'll come, and it's then up to you. So everything seems to... It seems easy at that point because you're full of confidence and just sort of riding it.
And you've got, alongside Steve Howard, you've got Paul Dickoff as well. I know. So them two, bags of experience. Did they help you? Or were you just sort of...
Steve, massively, in terms of his game. I could work off a target player. I hadn't sort of worked off a target player before. I know the previous season, but it was chops and changes. No one sort of was a reliable partner alongside him. And then previous, it would have been Mark de Vries under Craig Levine, but he was gone straight away. So I'd never really played with an old-fashioned type centre-forward who was going to do all that ugly side of the game. And I've just got to read and anticipate what's going to go on. So he was massive in terms of what he was performing like, and I was just going off that. And then obviously Dickie with his experience, and he'd come on and play a big part as well in terms of what he'd been previous, and just his know-how. He probably hadn't got the legs then, but the know-how and how
Dickie could play people in as well, couldn't he? He was
a little bit, but he's more. He was either coming on for me or partnering, and but again, he got it, didn't he? And sort. He was more busy, but he could still take a chance if it came along, and with his experience and know-how. And someone like him was just like, keep your feet on the ground. I was like, they're fine. So, in terms of them, it's loads of experience and just play off that.
Well, you definitely flourish because, again, not so long after that, you managed to score back-to-back hat-tricks, which is some mean feat. You know, not easy to do. In fact, 83 years since that's been done by a Leicester City player, an Arthur Challoner, one of the greatest of all time ever to play for this club. So, I mean, how were you feeling at that time? Do you remember the games? Do you remember the goals?
Yeah, I remember the games and the goals. I can see them in my memory sort of thing.
Strikers. Do you remember every goal? Tony Cotty.
Yeah.
He remembers every goal and he scored hundreds.
There's a couple, probably I don't, but out of all the ones I scored, I'd say that one or two I don't.
That's it.
And that's it. And of them 6 you've mentioned there, I can see them all now in that point. But in terms of feeling, I think the next game, the third game on the spin, so could you get a treble?
A treble.
And I was thinking, probably don't score today. Keep it low key, and just hoping the game sort of passed by.
So you didn't score on purpose?
Didn't score. No, I didn't score. If it came my way, I'd score. But at the same time, I was like, I can't do a treble.
Why not?
Just wanted to keep it low key, and then we managed to win the game at Carlisle. But it was 2-1 and hadn't scored, and then. I'm happy with the 6. I've done 6 more than 2. Okay. Let someone else for this week. I can come back the following week.
Do you remember the game that clinched promotion for Leicester in that season?
Well, there was the big game at home against Leeds that was sort of there, but the Southend one, obviously.
And you scored a brace, I think.
Scoring the 2 goals and warm day, and it was good times. Remember the goals, tap-ins. One was a tap-in, the other one was a penalty.
You got the 2 goals that ensured promotion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you seem so laid back, but you know, surely like after that, and you think you're coming off the pitch, we've done it, lad.
Yeah, because I'd, from my own self, proved them doubters wrong, or sort of from the previous season, it wasn't particularly good. And then all of a sudden, as you say, mentioning other teams, you've been champions, you've performed well in the season and feeling really good about yourself, and then your goals have gone and clinched promotion. It's really good times.
Absolutely. But from where let's face it, from where you were, as not only as a player, but the football club in general.
Yeah, it could have gone
So then-
easy the other way, yeah.
Hit back like that in such a quick time, but in the way that
Yeah.
Leicester did it.
And then it sets you up as well. Yeah, so I was in the team of the year, so I think a few of the boys win the team of the year, but also without bragging, I was the player of the season in the league. And then I had
The whole league?
The whole league,
Yeah.
so I had to go down there separately.
Right.
And there was no one my missus was with me and was on the table and everything. I'm thinking, I've got to go and do a speech in a minute. And there was wine and I was just sozzled. Went up on stage asking a few questions.
Oh, brilliant.
I
Tends
can't
to be the case down there.
Can't remember any of it. Yeah. But the second time we went to the Grosvenor, it was quite a few of the team came because a few of the players.
Yeah, I think Jack Hobbs, Matt Oakley.
Few had really good seasons as well, so we had a good night out there. But the individual thing was, I can't remember the speech.
You can't?
Can't.
Oh.
I was that gone. I'd lucky I got up on stage.
Well, at least you...
You have the red wine all day.
Yeah.
No, it was a mess.
At least you kept it as you should do when you go to the PFA, because everyone gets sozzled, don't they?
Yeah, of the team. Yeah, that one. I remember that. Obviously, all different teams as well, but the other one was, sort of on my lonesome.
Another award you won that season, Matt, was obviously the Players' Player of the Season as well.
Yeah. I'd probably say that's the biggest one.
Yeah.
From your peers, your other professionals, and alongside, then you get the recognition from your teammates. So I'd say for myself, that's the biggest one. Someone could say Player of the Year is probably even bigger, but Players' Player, it's a nice award to win.
Nice. Of course it is. And was that a good night as well after the awards?
I can't remember that night. I genuinely cannot remember it. I can't remember it. It must have been a good night.
Yeah,
I can't remember
It was either a really good night or a really bad night.
Yeah, I can't remember that night.
I'm not saying it was your breakthrough season, but in regards to you personally, things
that
couldn't have went
an
much
amazing
better.
season in terms of all the goals,
The awards, breaking records.
It wasn't too bad.
Not too bad. I'd say that's pretty special, mate.
Yeah, I think from that, and we'll obviously come on to the sort of the last season or the final season before, but that is sort of those records of them. Obviously, immensely proud of them, but then they can't be taken away as well. So when you look back on the things you've done, that's part of it, and it's sort of your tiny little piece in the foundations to then what the club eventually do go on and achieve later down the line, and that Nigel Pearson starting point to then what it flourished into, and the sort of, I wouldn't say it was as iconic as the Dickoff Man City goal, but you're sort of building the little blocks of the foundation to then what eventually Leicester go on and achieve as well. I played a little thing, and then you had the records in that season. So
very
that
much
was a perfect season.
Because like certain players have played, and they sort of promotion, but then Leicester got relegated after that, whether it's Premier League, Championship, or whatever. But that was definitely the platform, wasn't it?
Yeah.
To get that promotion back.
You think of that feeling and what it was like compared to the previous season, and then you come away from it thinking, we could go again next season. And then it carried on.
It's not like there were big negatives after that.
No, because you got
maintained a level.
You got the squad, you got the confidence, and with a couple of signings, I think Nigel bought in Richie Wellens, he was a key player for us, Paul Gallagher, a couple of others.
Yeah.
On top of what we had, and then you get off to a decent start again, and then find yourselves in the playoffs for most of the season. Think, can we go bounce back and even go one beyond and get back in the Premier League?
And how was your form that season?
Good, really good. Yeah. When I look back on my career as a whole, and we go into this without being self-indulgent and looking back through it all, mine was sort of...
That's why we're here.
Yeah, but mine was on disruptions.
Yes.
So when I didn't do well, it was either injuries or I got them at the wrong point, or if I didn't, I was doing well, or there was always something in that. But that season I was doing really well and broke my jaw halfway through it. I know the team carried on. But myself, I was flying. I felt I was playing even better than the previous season.
You could see you were on a proper roll.
But the whole team, again, it was that togetherness, what Nigel installed, the players in, and then we get to the playoffs. But I'd been out for 3 months with obviously a broken jaw, which I could do with now. But I lost 3 stone in weight, and you can't do anything because your jaw's wired up.
Got you.
You lost 3 stone even then?
3 stone then,
Fit,
yeah.
What weight were you playing at?
About 12 stone.
Was that where you were?
So I lost 3 stone.
You went down to 9?
Yeah, lost 3 stone in weight. And that was, I think that was the February. And we looked comfortable as if we were going to be in the playoffs. And then you're hoping to get back for the playoffs. But you've lost that amount of weight.
Body, yeah. I mean,
and then you have to, well...
You did get back, though.
It's quite easy to get the weight back on now.
no, but good weight.
Then, of all of a sudden trying to get it and being up to a level where you can compete.
How long did that take you? It's got to take you as long again, hasn't it?
3 months.
To get fit?
I was from breaking my jaw
to play.
to
back playing.
to back playing.
But in that 6 weeks
Yeah.
that you were wired up, is
Yeah.
that what it was? 6
Yeah,
weeks?
6 weeks.
You lost 3 stone?
Yeah, 3 stone.
Jesus.
Yeah.
You did get back for the playoffs.
Yeah.
Interesting set of games, shall we say? What's your recollection of those games?
So I got back for the first playoff leg.
Yeah.
We was 1-0 down. Didn't do particularly well at home. And then the second leg at Cardiff, the night before, Blackpool had beaten Forest to book their place in the final. And we'd beaten Blackpool twice in the season. And Ian Holloway was manager. DJ Campbell was up front for them. But there's that in the mix. And we also know we can beat Blackpool.
Oh, yeah.
We 100% would beat Blackpool.
First time in 43 years, apparently.
Well, we'd beaten, in the season. And that was some crazy record, like you say, the 42 years. So I knew that would come in.
Yeah.
But we'd got a massive boost from not playing particularly well in the first leg to then all of a sudden going, well, if Blackpool can do it, because I think they beat Forest something like 5-2 at the City ground, and they'd gone through, and was like, we can do this.
Right.
Got 3-1, I think it was 3-1 up in the game, so it was 3-2 ahead overall. Steve was brilliant that night, he just led the line, I think it was probably his best performance for Leicester, but Cardiff scored, and then it went to penalty kicks, and I think we all know sort of what happened with.
Well, let's go through the penalties then. That's one by one. Obviously, you're taking one.
No, thank goodness.
You didn't take one?
No, so I came off in extra time, because obviously fitness-wise and everything. The first game in the playoffs, I came on as a sub at home, and then decided to start me in the second leg. So, having been out that amount of time as well, I was flagging a little bit in extra time, and I got replaced, I think, by Martin Waghorn, who ended up missing in the shootout anyway.
He missed as well, yeah.
But there were really good penalties by both teams up until Jan, I think Nobby had scored a good penalty, Steve had scored a good penalty, and we were fine. And Jan...
Solano.
I was just thinking of that.
Yeah, good player.
Forgot he actually came to Leicester.
Yeah, good quality.
Player he was.
But Jan, everything about him was power. Nothing about him was finesse.
Yeah.
And decides to dink it down the middle. Like in training, he would tackle you from behind. He would smash everything. He was just horrible. You'd think, who's fouled me in training? Oh, it's Jan. And then, for some reason, he decided to dink it. But you just don't know under pressure why the choices go on and the feeling. Then you lose the shootout, and then you're thinking,
decision making under pressure.
You just never see him.
Is he that sort of
No,
Not that flamboyant,
no.
need to be seen character.
No,
Not at all.
Threw it in there.
just randomly threw it in and a little dink on the probably, arguably one of the most pressurised spot kits or a chance to get to the Premier League with the amount of money financially and in terms of what we were
Was
as
he like?
players.
Was he remorseful or, you know?
What do you say? I think some
done, isn't it? It's
some
done.
were raging, but you can't go to him. You're dejected. The team's thinking, is this my one and only chance to get to the Premier League?
Yeah.
Knowing that Blackpool were waiting for you in the final. And then seeing, you don't mind a miss, and you can come on to the Dean Windass one if you want to.
Oh, don't worry.
But in the right way.
Yeah.
And that just was not it. Like, I've got no problem with Martin Waghorns or if you go up there with a bit of intent, but everyone was just flat then. And then
Do you remember what the atmosphere was like in the dressing room after that game?
probably worse than the relegation.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, it was horrific. It was.
Well, I remember the aftermath
imagine
from after it all.
What an opportunity, isn't it? Yeah.
From Kermorgant's penalty, like
Well, then it
people
just
were
changes.
raging.
Yeah,
weren't they?
yeah, just all from it, not just supporters, but inside. And then that breaks up Nigel's first period with the team as well, and then changes that summer from being so close to then that summer change with Paulo Sousa comes in, change of players, new players come in, and then you're starting off all again in the mess you were 2-3 years ago.
Cycle started again, didn't
Of it, from being so close to then all of a sudden in a few months so far away again.